Welcome to the Social Podcast, where no discussion or debate is off limits.
Everybody, welcome to the Social Happy Tuesday!
I think
you know her, you love her. She, at this point, needs almost no introduction, but I'm going to do it anyway because she's the one, the only, Julie Black. Welcome back.
Thank you.
All right, everybody. Well, we're going to kick this off. We started the show with this yesterday. Let's go back. The threat tariff is off for now. The threat of the tariff, right? Okay, it's on pause officially. Canada now has 30 days to appoint a fentanyl czar. List Mexican drug cartels as terrorists, put 10,000 personnel at the border, and also spend $200 million on gathering intelligence on organized crime. That is what's putting this on pause for now. What do we make of this latest development, Cynthia?
I mean, I guess it's sort of a ray of hope, but it's also like
you feel hopeful?
I feel a tiny bit hopeful. Okay. Like, here's why. I think that at least people were very stressed out about this tariff. It could have decimated, like, job losses. Like, it's unknown exactly what the implications would have been.
Okay.
So for right now, we can take a breath. But it's coming back. This storm is coming back in 30 days. And so, of course, I think we're all gonna still be whipped up into anxiety between now and then, some more than others. And I think here's what I'm wrestling with right now, is that Justin Trudeau obviously had to have a conversation with him. And these plans to do with the border were already in action before this phone call, as many of you know. So basically, like, we don't know what the tone of this conversation was. Was it like, oh, this is a great, like, you know what, the way you have to deal with like a
toddler?
child? Exactly. Make them feel like it's their idea. You know, like, placate them. But at the end of the day, this was a ruse. There isn't a major fentanyl problem, nor immigrant problem coming over our border. And now we are spending $1.3 billion. And I can't help but wonder, I know it was the right choice, it was necessary, but how else could that money have been spent? That's all. There's nothing else to be done.
And I'm hoping that that was just lip service and that they're actually not going to spend that money, because I'm very frustrated. I don't know about the rest of you. I'm tired of feeling like I'm being led by my nose by this president. And every 2 seconds he's bringing up something else, whether it's TikTok, whether it's immigration, and I can't stand it. So I decided to do a deep dive into this whole tariff situation to figure out what is the deal behind this, because we're all like waiting on like
What's
trying
his
to figure out what he's going to do.
What's his end game?
And then I found this clip, an interview that he did just a month before he won the election. Take a listen.
The higher the tariff, the more likely it is that the company will come into the United States and build a factory in the United States so it doesn't have to pay the tariff. But really, so there's two ways of looking at a tariff. You can do it as a money-making instrument, or you can do it as something to get the companies. Now, if you want the companies to come in, the tariff has to be a lot higher than 10%, because 10% is not enough.
All right, so there he is, giving you the playbook. This is exactly why he's bringing up the tariffs. He's trying to get those companies and to scare them to come to the United States or use that tariff money if they decide to spend that money so they can play down their deficit. This is all a game, and we are playing chess, not checkers. And I want our government to be paying attention, along with all the other governments that are under fire with this tariff nonsense, and look and just pay attention to what he's talking about.
But what can we do? He's got the ball in his court.
Well,
what can we do?
You talk to the companies that are within your country and say, don't you ever leave. Don't you leave this border.
For a tenth of the size.
We will go
It
after
doesn't
you
make
if you do
sense.
this.
Yeah.
This is the thing, you know what? Trump has the lowest self-esteem, right? Yeah. So this thing, he'd be like, yeah, okay, well, I'll give you a month. This be like, guess what? I saved Canada. I saved Canada.
That's right.
That's all he wants. He just wants people to pump him up.
Yeah.
And make it. He thinks this is The Apprentice. This is not The Apprentice.
Yeah.
There's people's lives here.
We have to stop treating him like it's The Apprentice.
And he's having some memory loss. This guy forgets what he says all the time.
He didn't even finish that
it's
sentence
true.
in
Here's
that
the thing. Here's the reason why I'm so frustrated, and the reason why, unfortunately, we do have to sort of bow down to him, because we do.
No,
when
we
I
don't.
say listen to what I'm saying. I'm not saying we have to. We have to play the game, though, because our economies are so tied. All he's doing is holding a sledgehammer above our head, and everyone's like, when's he going to drop it? So here's the analogy that I heard on a podcast this morning. You know what makes a bully powerful in the schoolyard is that there is a threat. There's always a feeling of threat. What is the bully going to do? The fear. But the only way that a bully stays powerful is that once in a while, they do have to actually throw a punch and hurt somebody. So what Canada is doing, and every country that deals with America is doing, is we're trying to not be the kid in the playground that actually gets the bloody nose.
Right.
So what he's doing is a tariff, a tariff, a tariff, a tariff. He could decimate our economy. He could throw us into a recession within weeks. This is the truth. truth. So we are at his mercy to a little point, and we just don't want to be the kid that gets punched and draws blood.
Forget that $400 billion of stuff that they need from us. We have to empower ourselves with information. How much they need from us too. And you know what? You know, it worked in my school. I don't know about your schoolyards, but sometimes you need to punch the bully in the face first.
I get it.
I'm not playing with you and not wait for that
I
first
get
punch.
it.
That analogy actually holds. Not that we're going to punch them in the face because we don't have that kind of power, but as a collective, when a collective stands up to the bully, so let's say we get new
The
friends.
EU, Mexico,
Exactly.
Canada.
Are we
Right, ain't getting no avocados no more.
It's true.
Okay, moving on to something that maybe is kind of related. A man wrote to Slate saying his wife is incapable of apologizing. He says that whenever she's at fault, her response is to say, oh, that's right, I'm a terrible person and everything is my fault. So that's not a great apology. But Julie, have you ever dealt with someone who is like that or can't apologize?
Yeah, they're weak. I think that's such a big form of weakness. I think that it's unloving, right? And you lose your privileges. When you get to that point where it's like, you can't apologize, membership expired. That's it, you're out. Boom.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's harsh.
I think those two words, I'm sorry, are so tricky because I think on the one hand, it's really important to be able to say those words. I feel as an adult, especially, it's important for me to acknowledge when I've hurt somebody's feelings or done something wrong. And it's important to tell that person, I'm sorry to your face and be sincere, but also
be sincere.
It's sincere because that's what I'm saying. It's tricky because that I'm sorry, if it's disingenuous, if it's insincere, it makes the situation worse.
Yeah.
And I feel like growing up, I had family members and boyfriends who were incapable of saying I'm sorry when they were wrong, and they taught me to never be that person as I become an adult. So I will be the first to be like, I'll own that. I don't want you to feel this way. I'm sorry that I said that. And just squash it, because then the trust, first of all, you can move on and move past it, because if there's no I'm sorry, it's still festering. People will move on, but it's still there. It's still in the back of their mind, and I want to move on, and everybody wants that clean slate.
So some people want to move on. They want to say I'm sorry so they can have access.
Yes.
Right? And that's the
What do you
thing.
mean? What do you mean?
You're using the I'm sorry
Okay.
to have access to your life.
Yeah.
Especially when your life is lifing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? My life is lifing. No, your membership is expired. You get a few chances.
Yeah.
But the whole, oh, I'm sorry, and you know when it's not sincere. You already know, Andrea. You know what I'm talking about.
I know it, Julie. I know it.
I don't know about you, Sin, but I would say having a child has changed it. I am not a good apologizer. I didn't have that modeled in my home. It was a home of tough love.
Right.
And we were kind of raised to be tough, which is you don't say sorry,
You buy food.
You keep going. Maybe a little that.
You hungry, make your dinner. Let me make your dinner.
But that's why, some people will say that children are a wonderful gift to parents to allow you to heal old wounds.
Yep.
And if you're open to that, right? And so it's much easier for me to apologize to my daughter, because quite frankly, I don't want to be paying for her therapy in 20 years when...
Especially when there's a tariff on that.
there's a tariff on that. So that I find that she's been very healing to teach me how to apologize, because I never learned how to do
I
that.
helped my mom later in life. My mom, 70s, 80s, 80-year-old, and learned how to say I'm sorry, but she'd be like, sorry, you hungry?
Yeah.
So for a particular generation, I think I remember one apology I ever got from my parents. We weren't modeled it, and I am trying to model that. We've been dealing with Jaya right now because his habit, and tell me if there are any parents who can recognize this scenario. He'll do something like, let's say he knows not to bounce a ball in the house, but he bounces the ball in the house and then he ends up breaking something, and he'll go, I'm sorry, but why was that thing there? And it's like, no.
That's not
Wait a minute. And so you immediately have to catch, because they don't come out understanding, right?
Not in the Black House.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about Julie Black.
Yeah. You're high. Yeah.
But it's true. I have to teach him about, we've been having long conversations about you can't apologize and then blame it on the other person.
Because it's disingenuous.
But we know we've met adults that's exactly how they learned how
But
to
I do have
it.
an apology for Julie. I'm sorry that I have not acknowledged that beautiful engagement ring on your...
Well, why don't you sparkle us to break, because we are going to take a quick break here.
Put your shades on.
So here's a sticky situation. Someone wrote to the Skim saying, a friend asked me to refer them to a job opening at my company, but I don't think they're qualified. What should I do? What advice would you give here?
Ooh, okay. I think you're either somebody who is like, yes, put down my name, it's fine, or you're someone who's like, no, sorry, never put down my name. Unfortunately, unless I have really intimate knowledge of how you work. And if I'm going to put my name on your resume, I'm going to stand behind it. But unless I've worked with you, I don't feel comfortable doing that. So generally, I'm very stingy with my references because my name is on the line. Because if something goes sour, guess who they're looking at? They're
Guess
like,
what?
why would you put your name on that?
That's right.
So I also think that it's a little bit of growth, that I'm part of the obstacle that you're going to learn, that you're going to get there, you're going to work hard, and you're going to earn your own merit. So sorry, don't ask.
Don't ask. Okay.
Don't ask.
How about you, Jules?
They wouldn't even fix their mouth or fix their face to come ask me for a reference when they know they're not qualified. They wouldn't even think it.
So if I asked you to introduce me to the president of the label, because I think I got a voice, Julie.
You think you got a voice.
But you would tell the person to their face. You would be like,
absolutely.
yeah.
If they don't, that's, to your point, it's growth.
Yeah.
It is growth. Go get yourself off. Go practice. Do a little something, something. Don't fix your face to ask for a reference where you're not qualified.
I don't know.
What about you, Sin?
Listen, I think it's difficult. We all have that friend who we love who is actually not a hard worker. And so that situation, I do not envy. So yeah, I don't know what I would do in that. But if it's somebody who you know and you trust and you like, even if they don't have qualifications, I might say to them, hey, this is what the job requires. Do you feel like comfortable with those things? And if they still had enthusiasm, I think I would say, hey, to the hiring manager, like, listen, they may not have this experience, but they have enthusiasm and they have a great personality. And I've seen people in my life who, actually one person who came after a certain job that I had on air, she had no experience at all going into it. She was completely none. Someone took a chance on her and she is incredible at what she does.
I think it depends
she worked
on what the job
extra
is.
hard, I think, because there were doubts around her. So I think some people can rise to the occasion.
Yeah, you know what? I'm with you. Here's the deal. I always tell people, I'm like, what's for you won't pass you.
Right.
So whether you give me your resume or not, if this is supposed to be where you're supposed to be, it's going to happen. But I'll also always be like honest with a person because I know unemployment's not cute and it can really wear on a person. So if they're like desperate enough to be like, yo, can you get me an in? I will tell them, listen, I can do my best. I will pass it on to the person and I will tell them they might go, they might hire internally. This is what they're looking for. You might not, but I'm gonna give them your name, and then I'll tell the person, because if I work at this company, I also can talk to the person doing the hiring and be honest and be like, my friend asked me to give this to you. I'm gonna be honest, but not mean, and be like, I'm just giving you because they're gonna mention me, so you just know that this is the relationship we have, and this is what they're asking.
That's more like, that's almost like a character reference. So that's kind of different than thinking, oh, they have the experience. You don't have to have the experience. That's one thing. If I know your character, I know your work ethic, right, and you have a little, singing might be a whole other thing, but, but the whole thing is, my thing is, if people put pressure on me, right, to have to lie. I don't want to have to lie.
I wouldn't lie.
You know what? You know, listen, I might be making a very broad generalization here, but there was a few companies I worked at when I was in my early 20s over the summer trying to raise money for university. And there were these big Canadian corporations. And here's what I saw all the time. It would be the male bosses that had the corner suite, and they never thought about the things that we're talking about in this discussion. Is the person qualified? Is my job on the line if this person does? They would have their son, their nephew, their neighbor's son, the kid down the street, and they would be coming through because they didn't have the consequence if this person didn't perform.
I know, but everybody else is complaining about that person behind their back, and that's also a horrible situation.
They don't get touched the way that we do, and I think there is a gendered component.
But I'll tell you something, if you block somebody from a job, trust me, they're gonna find out about it, and you'll never forget it. I know the people who tried to block me. I know you. Here I am. So be careful about
shots fired.
Careful.
Shots fired.
So
take cover.
Here's a question. Would you be upset if your sister threatened to wear white on your wedding? So the details are this. A bride wrote to Reddit, or on Reddit, that she plans to give the groomsmen water guns filled with red wine if her sister goes through with wearing a white dress on her big day. So, Julie, I mean, those are some guns
Someone's getting married. So you're getting married.
What do you think about this
Your family
idea?
shows up in a white dress. What you doing?
Right, so I already got this pre-planned, right? So we're having a color code, right? We have a dress code. There's gonna be a whole theme around that. Okay. But this is what that bride has to be careful of, because if her younger sister is a gangster and she gets one of those water guns, she could turn it on the wedding dress. Oh, right? Turn it back. So don't be mean. Don't be mean. And listen. Yeah. I'm the youngest of 9 kids, okay?
It's a lot of water guns.
Somebody trying, and I hear they're plotting something, and I get a hold of that gun, everybody ran. Everybody wind up, right? But like I said, you know what? Just send out. I'm sending out a video of the color concept. I'm sending out the written dress code. That's how you get around it.
Okay, you're the lastborn?
Yes.
I'm a firstborn.
Uh-oh.
So I'm gonna put, not you, I'm gonna put the lastborn in this story in her place. Because the firstborn in me says, this wedding is not about you, it's about me. And I've asked you nicely several times, please don't wear white, because I would like to be the only one wearing white. And the younger one in this one says, but I want to wear white, so I'm gonna wear white. So I'm gonna tell her this. She better listen to the older sister here, because life is coming for you, honey. You don't get just to say and do whatever you want, because there's gonna be a consequence. So go ahead and wear the dress. The consequence happens to be red wine.
No, there's something weird about this. The idea of a whole bunch of groomsmen standing around with
just guns, right?
spraying
it
the
ain't
wine.
right.
There's something violent and off, like off.
On a day that's supposed to be about love.
That's right.
But I have to admit, I wore white to a wedding once.
What happened?
I know. It was, listen, I was not.
Was it an all white wedding?
Put your guns down and let me explain. I was young. I only had one decent suit, and it was very corporate. It was like a zip-up white jacket and like cigarette pants. It wasn't like fancy. It wasn't like a white dress. And I was like, this is all I have. And I wasn't thinking until I got to the wedding. And I also thought, you know what?
That was all you had?
No, the bride. No. Honestly, I was broke.
All you had?
No, it was the nicest one. Listen.
That was all you had?
I figured that the bride was gonna show up looking like a bride in a big dress, you know, with the veil and the whole thing. Homegirl showed up in a white suit, and I was like,
Stop it right now.
Luckily for me, she was also pregnant. No one knew that. So that took all
types of tea. You just spilling all types of tea.
Everybody was focused on that, and as soon as the dinner was done, I was out of there. I was like, let me take my white suit and go home. So I learned my lesson.
So Variety is reporting that a sequel series to Buffy the Vampire Slayer is in the works. And sources are saying that Sarah Michelle Gellar is in talks, actually, to come back and play the beloved role. Julie, sequels. Do we want this one back? What do we think of TV reboots in general? Do you like them?
So I'm not a reboot girl. I'm not reboot girl. And I realized when I was prepping for this, I'm like, I haven't watched any of the reboots.
Yeah.
Why is that, do you think?
Just leave them as they are, how I see them in my mind.
Yes.
Leave it as, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, but apparently there's some good ones. Like I heard the Fresh Prince is a good one. Fresh Prince.
They just canceled it. Sorry to you guys didn't know that. Sorry, it was decent, but yeah, they just.
It was just decent.
You know what, Roseanne?
Oh,
even though there was that whole scandal around Roseanne, remember that? And she was booted off the show. That show's doing really well. People seem to like it. I don't want to.
Is she on it?
Yeah.
She's not on it.
Okay, that's right.
No, she joined the Trump administration, and that was kind of it.
She got braids.
Yeah.
You know,
Is
maybe.
that all she did?
Anyway.
It's funny that you say leave them, because when I see a reboot, in my mind, I remember what age I was when that show first came out. And then when you see a reboot, and if the old actors come back and they've aged, because we age, then I feel old again. Like, I actually feel older watching it.
All of
but
that, eh?
I do like, I do. I know, thank you.
It's okay.
However, it's very different with music. I love me an old school remix party any day of the week. Why? But you know why? Because it's different. I go back in time in my mind. I go back to 16. I go back to 18.
Okay.
I go back to that boy. I go back to behind the car. Anyway, anyway.
You just going back.
Yes, my point is, because I don't have to remember, I can go back in time. You get into a time machine and you feel that age again. I don't have to see how old everybody's got.
You know what I think? I hear every year for I don't know how many years, I have friends who have gone down with their manuscript, going to LA, they're gonna try to make it. You hear about all of these people going down to LA, going down to Hollywood, and all I see are reboots and Spider-Man movies. And I'm just asking Hollywood, what's happening? Because I know people are going with their dreams and they want to have all these original scripts, but we don't ever seem to get them. All of these reboots, to which there are so many, and none of us, as we just, nobody's really digging them. So why do you keep doing this? Where's the original?
Well, you know why?
content?
Again, I agree with you. I think it's sad, but it's because at least it's a formula that works in the past. So
Is
there's
it?
less risk.
In the past.
I think in this case of this series, it was such a well-loved series. It was one of the first earliest like feminist shows. It dealt with a whole bunch of things. A lot of nerds really, really loved it passionately. And the thing is that it kind of ended with a bit of a sour taste, because the guy who was running the show, the showrunner, the writer, Joss Whedon, he ended up there's a big, huge scandal around him. Apparently, he treated women on the set very poorly. And so this is an opportunity, I think, for something to be resurrected, and I say that intentionally, in a very interesting way, because Sarah Michelle Gellar, I think, is at the helm of this now, to some degree. And so I think there's a chance for big fans of this show to like actually feel like, I don't know, they can fall in love with it. Maybe closure.
But maybe it'll also take people back to the original and kind of watch how it used to be. And maybe some of them actors will get some residual pay because some people broke out there.
Michelle's running on the money. And she's like, we need to grab something and start stabbing. What do they do? I don't even know. Vampires. That's what it sounds like. She needs a check. That's what I think it is. And I'm not hating on it.
Well, speaking of music, Julie
Speaking
Black.
of needs a check. Speaking of needs a check.
Speaking of music, it turns out that after a decade,
17 years.
sorry, almost 2 decades, you're heading back out on tour.
Yeah.
So that is so exciting.
Thank you.
It is called Songs. Oh my God. It is called the Songs and Story Tour 2025. What are the songs? What are the stories?
All the songs, all the stories, not just mine, but my mom's as well, right? Your stories, right? Because I feel like I'm the voice of the voiceless. We're doing this independently, going across the country. I'm leading the charge as a woman, as a female artist, entrepreneur. Right? And we're going Saskatoon, we're going Edmonton, Calgary, like we're driving across, like we're doing it, and also bringing artists with me. I'm doing what other artists didn't do for me. Let me look at the camera. No one helped me. Nobody helped me. But guess what? You want to be the change you want to see in the world, right? So we're saying, all right, emerging artists, let's do this together. It's each one reach one, right? Cool. Yeah, it's lovely.
Julie, we cannot wait. Thank you for coming back and joining us. So here it is. If you'd like to see Julie on tour, and I know you will and you want to, visit julieblack.ca for tickets. Cannot wait to see you.
Are you all coming?
Yes.
Okay.
Have to.
Subscribe to the Social Podcast so you don't miss a fiery debate. Until next time, socialites.